right, everyone. So we're going to get started in just a moment. All right. So hi, everyone. I am Caitlin Brown of Mindful Detroit. And this is a 1-hour chair yoga class with Corktown Health Center. So I'll just wait a couple of moments for people to join and get settled. And you don't need any special equipment for this class. So these are movements, meditations, breath work that you can do seated in a chair, and we'll do some things standing. Of course, if you have your yoga mat handy and you want to do some things seated on your yoga mat, you're more than welcome to, but it is not required. So the idea with this is that it can be something easy that you can do on your lunch break, just as a break in the middle of your day. So let's take a few moments to settle and just kind of connect. So I invite you to sit comfortably, whether that's sitting in a chair or maybe cross-legged on the floor, and sitting up nice and tall. It doesn't have to be so straight that you're stiff, but thinking about lengthening your spine up, reaching the crown of your head towards the ceiling. And then I'm going to invite us to use a mudra today. So mudra translates as seal from Sanskrit, and it's often yoga that we do with our hands, sometimes called hand yoga. And the idea is that it seals energy in different ways or moves energy in different ways in the body. So what we're going to do is interlace our fingers, but not bring them so close where there is like a tight interlace, but just loosely interlace them so there's some space between the fingers and the webbing of the other hand. And then the thumbs are pointing up. And then the hands are going to come just a little bit in front of the heart, trying to relax your shoulders and relax your elbows down. And if this isn't comfortable for your shoulders, you could always rest your hands like low in your lap. But if you can, holding your hands a few inches or maybe 6 to 12 inches away from your heart. And if you want, you could close your eyes here, or you could keep them soft, maybe gazing away from the screen, because we're looking at screens so much these days, maybe looking down slightly with eyes soft. So this mudra is called Vajra Pradama Mudra. And it's a mudra to help lift up our energy. So today I wanted to focus on kind of energizing us for our afternoon, for the weekend ahead, for any important activities or work that we need to do, change we want to make in our lives, change we want to make in society. So we'll be doing some different movements, breath work, and meditation that helps with that, including this mudra. So this mudra helps lift if you're feeling low, like low energy, low mood. It helps lift the energy, lift the mood. It helps give a confidence and strength to kind of follow through with what we need to do. So just taking a couple of moments, maybe thinking of your intention for the day and for the practice. Maybe connecting it with this mudra of giving ourselves confidence and strength and energy to do what we need to do. And that could be something very simple of just like getting through one task this afternoon, or maybe it's something bigger. Find what feels right for you. Great. Take a few more breaths here, still holding the mudra if it's comfortable. But if your shoulders start to hurt or anything like that, your fingers get stiff, feel free to release it at any time. And so if you're still holding the mudra, I invite you now to release it. Maybe just wiggle your fingers, shake out your hands, and then place one hand on your belly and one on your chest. And we'll take a few moments to deepen our breath now. So breathing in and out through your nose if you can. Beginning to get a longer, smoother, and softer breath. See if you can notice some gentle movement under your hands as you breathe. So as you're inhaling, the belly and the chest are rising slightly, and then as you're exhaling, they're falling slightly. And it's not a big movement, so not worrying if it's hard to feel anything. It's more subtle. We want to try to maintain this deep, smooth breath throughout our class and throughout all the movements we're going to be doing. So if you notice at any time that your breath is getting shallow, or if you're holding your breath, one, that's great awareness. That's a moment of mindfulness, so congratulate yourself for that. And then using that as a sign to change what you're doing in the body, adapt. So maybe taking a break from a pose, or maybe taking a different variation. So knowing there's no one right way to do it, and you're really tuning in. Yoga is about tuning into your body and doing what your body needs. It's not about competition. When you're ready, release your hands down to your legs. And again, so if people are just joining, this will be a chair and standing practice, and it's sponsored by the Corktown Health Center. And again, my name is Caitlin Brown from Mindful Detroit. So now that we have our deep, smooth breath, let's begin to do some movements linking with our breath. So we're going to begin to warm up our spine. We'll start seated and then we'll come to standing. So let's inhale and bring our chest forward and lift our chin, open our throat, lift our gaze. And then exhale and round. Drop our chin to our chest, draw your navel in, scoop it in and back, and then inhale again. And just keep moving with your breath, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed as you move. And when you're inhaling, notice the back of your neck. So we don't want to just throw our head back. Make sure that you're keeping the back of your neck long so it's not feeling crunched or compressed. 2 more of these. Again, letting your breath guide the movements. And now after your next exhale, we're going to pause for a moment, come back to sitting tall, and we're going to add in arms in a moment. So the arm movement we're going to do along with the spine movement is with our inhales, we're going to sweep our arms back. I'll just describe it first, palms facing back. And our exhales, we're going to round them forward, palms facing in. So you might imagine you're giving someone a big hug or hugging a big beach ball with your exhale. And again, we're going to do this with the spinal movements. So when you're ready, inhaling, arms sweep back, bring your chest forward, lift your gaze back if the neck stays long. Exhale and round, draw your navel in, hugging that imaginary beach ball. And just continue to move at your own pace, paying attention to your shoulders. See if you can keep them soft and away from your ears. Just warming up the spine as well as the shoulders here. Do a couple more. Take a break if you need to. And after your next exhale, we'll come back to sitting tall. Let our arms relax. And let's take a few shoulder rolls here. Inhaling our shoulders up, exhaling them down our back. And if you want, maybe now switching the direction, inhaling up, exhaling forward. Continuing to move with your breath. I like to end with a few extra going back, because I know I tend to round forward a lot over my bike, driving, on my computer. our culture does that a lot. So I like to do a few more going back to open up my chest. And when you feel ready, just sitting tall. So now let's do a little more work to wake up the neck. Just say hello, being gentle with it. So we're gonna inhale here at center. With your exhale, gaze over your left shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. Exhale, gaze over your right shoulder. Inhale, come back to center. And just continue to move slow and gentle with your breath. And try to keep your chin parallel to the ground. So sometimes we might have a tendency as we turn, we might dip our chin down. See if you can keep it so that the chin is nice and level. Take a couple more on each side, moving with your breath. And then from here, after you finish up on the left, coming back to sitting tall at center. And then we're gonna do some very small circles. So different than circles with your neck you might have done in the past. We're not trying to make big circles and kind of throw our head around. Thinking about more doing your circles with your nose, like you're drawing an imaginary circle in the air in front of you with your nose. And what I said before about keeping the back of the neck long, we want to make sure we're doing that here, because the neck is very delicate, and if we're turning the neck and going back and compressing the back, it could be, an area where we could hurt ourselves. So we just want to be careful with that. So thinking about still sitting nice and tall, shoulders relaxed. Let's start with some clockwise circles. Again, thinking about drawing a circle, an imaginary circle with your nose. So the head isn't moving a ton. You're just drawing a little circle in the air in front of you with your nose. And then when you're ready, switch the direction. And just continuing to breathe deep and even as you're doing this. When you're ready, come back to center. And you might notice as you're doing these movements, these little circles, or when you turned your head side to side, that there was maybe a spot that felt a little extra tight or felt kind of stuck. So maybe taking a moment now and just gently exploring that a little more. So you might come back to that side if it felt a little, tight, and take this one side a little longer. And if it didn't feel that way to you, if you felt pretty even from side to side, maybe you do either a couple more circles or one more round of the head rotation. So I always want to take some time so you can really personalize your practice. And then coming back to center, we're going to do one more movement with our neck, a lateral or side stretch. So we're going to inhale tall, exhale, drop our right ear towards our right shoulder. Inhale to center, still moving dynamically. Exhale to the other side. Inhale up. Exhale, ear reaches down, but still trying to keep the shoulders down. And go side to side on your own. And again, you might notice that one side feels a little more stuck or a little tighter. And so maybe now, instead of moving dynamically, you decide, I'm just going to hold on this side and get a little bit of a longer, deeper stretch on the one side of my neck. Or maybe you choose to continue to move with your breath. Up to you. Take maybe 3 or 4 more breaths wherever you are. And then let's come back to sitting tall. So thinking about the theme of kind of energizing us for the rest of our day and for action that we need to take, we're going to do some energizing breath work now. So you want to make sure that you have some space to lift your arms out in front of you and then up. Okay, so if you're sitting up against a desk, maybe you push yourself a little bit away. So this breath is called Bhastrika Pranayama, and that translates as bellows breathing. And if you think about a bellows for a fire, so it's stoking the fire. So if you're already feeling very high energy or feeling kind of anxious right now, maybe just continue with the deep, even breathing and skip this breath. This breath is really great energizer. So if you already have a lot of energy and you don't need more, you can just observe. So the breath involves movement with the arms, and I'll just walk you through it first. We're going to inhale our arms up, palms forward. Exhale, make little fists, not super tight, just little fists, and bring our elbows in by our sides. And kind of gently, not pushing too hard, but kind of squeezing in on our side ribs to help all the air come out of our lungs. And then the breath is a little more forceful than what we've been doing. It's a little faster, and it's more of a sniffing sound. So it looks and sounds like this. So if you're feeling kind of congested right now, if you want to take a moment to blow your nose, you can always do that. And again, if you're already feeling high energy or anxious, I recommend just observing this and continuing with the deep, even breathing. But if you're feeling kind of tired, sluggish, low mood, or low energy, this could be a great little pick-me-up. So let's sit nice and tall, hands on the knees, and then let's begin. We'll do a few more rounds. Imagine with your exhale, you're pushing out all that you don't need. You're letting it go. Any stress, any tension in the body. With your inhales, you're bringing in more fresh energy. Couple more. Last one. And now release your hands down. Sitting tall still, maybe closing your eyes or gazing softly down. Just taking a moment to notice how you're feeling. Notice your energy, feeling the prana, that's what we call our energy in yoga, circulating through our body. And you might notice it moving more upward. And if it's hard to notice anything, that's okay too. So don't worry, especially if it's the first time you practice this, if it's hard to notice anything, or if, again, if it felt like too much energy, thinking about really coming back to that long, smooth breath. And we'll think about rooting down through our feet. So feel your feet connected to the floor, connected to the earth. So that can help balance us if we're feeling too much upward moving energy. Feel the prana, the energy moving downward. And let's take a moment just to imagine that we're inhaling up through the sole of the right foot, up the right leg, all the way up the right side of our body to the top of our head. And then we're exhaling down the left side of our body from top to bottom, all the way down the left leg, out through the left sole of your foot. And just take a couple rounds of breath like this. Inhaling up through the right foot, the right leg. Imagine prana energy going all the way to the top of the head. Exhale down the left side of the body, all the way down to the left leg and the foot. Taking 2 more breaths like this on your own. And when you're ready, we're going to either stand up, or I'll show you what, if you feel more comfortable staying seated, how you can do this next part seated. So I'm just going to move back a little. We're going to come into a wide standing squat, but if you'd rather not stand, you need to have a chair with no arms though to do this. You would bring your knees wide and open them up on the chair. So you're in a wide squat-like position, but seated. Or you could do it standing. Yes. And then for all of us, whether you're seated or standing, we're gonna bend our elbows and bring our arms like goalposts or cactus arms. So taking a breath or two here, this is sometimes called goddess pose. Breathing into your hips, breathing into your shoulders. And then with your next inhale, we're gonna stretch up and out. So if you're standing, straighten your legs and reach your arms out and up. If you're seated, kind of same thing. So you might just like begin to straighten your legs a little more out to the side and reach the arms up. And then with your next exhale, bend the knees and the elbows. So now we're going to come into a dynamic movement again with our breath. Inhale, straighten the legs and the arms, 5-pointed star. Exhale, bend elbows and knees into goddess. Continue to move with your breath. You could do this seated or standing. So I'm demonstrating it both ways. Let's do one more. Trying to keep your shoulders relaxed down. And then pause and just come back either to a regular seated position or a standing position, shake it out. So now I'm going to invite us, if we're feeling like, yes, we're getting some energy going and we want to build a little more heat, a little more fire. We call this tapas in yoga, this kind of austerity, this like burning away what we don't need to help us work towards our goals, and kind of this dedication or this kind of discipline. So we're going to do a little bit of core stuff if you want to try it, and you can always just observe. We're going to do it back from that goddess position. So I'll show you both standing and seated. So again, the knees could come wide, and then the hands are going to come behind the head, elbows out, and we're going to work with the obliques here. So we're going to inhale at center, exhale our right elbow down towards our right knee. It doesn't have to touch, just in that direction. Inhale up, exhale to the other side. And again, you could do this standing. Just moving gently from side to side. Trying to keep the chest and the shoulders open. Maybe take a few more, but listen to your body. Take a break when you need to. And then when you're ready, when you've done both sides evenly, we'll come back to standing or just seated with legs together. So a seated mountain or a standing mountain pose. And it could be helpful just to kind of shake it out for a moment. Notice how the core is feeling. Notice how the hips, the groins are feeling, the shoulders. Beginning to wake those areas up. And so in mountain pose, we want to think about our feet about roughly hip distance apart, our shoulders relaxed, palms turning forward, crown of the head reaching up. So we're going to take a standing side stretch now, or if you feel more comfortable, it could be a seated side stretch. So we did it before with just our head on our neck, but now we're going to move the whole side body. So we're going to inhale our arms up, and then exhale, bring our right arm down and reach over to the left. And again, this could be done seated. Inhale up, exhale, left arm down, reach over with the right arm. Inhale up, and just go side to side. So having this dynamic movement, either standing or seated, with your breath. And feel free to explore a different type of side stretch. So maybe you gently hold your opposite arm. See how that feels. And if it's too much, if it doesn't feel good, you can always go back to the first version. You could also try it with both arms staying up. Just gently moving from side to side. Do one more on each side. And when you're ready, take your time, come back down. Let's do some more shoulder rolls. And then just coming back to the mountain pose, to your deep, even breath. So now we're going to work more with the shoulders and more with that arm position of cactus arms. Sometimes when we're holding this or doing some different movements with this, we could start to feel it in our shoulders. So one thing I suggest, if you do have it in your space, is you could come up against a wall and lean the back of your head and your shoulders up against the wall. If you don't have this, again, you could just try it in space or seated, but take a break when you need to if your shoulders start to get tired. So we're going to come to the cactus arms. And then from here, we're going to exhale and bring our palms down. Now they're not, you don't have to come back and touch the wall. A lot of us, our range of motion is, just coming down towards facing back, but not perfectly down, right? So just doing the best you can. Inhale up, exhale down, okay? And then after your next exhale, let's pause with our arms up. And now we're just going to bring our right arm down with our exhale and turn our head over to the right. Inhale up. Come back to center with your head. Exhale, left arm down. Turn to the left. So we're alternating from side to side. Exhale, right arm down. Inhale, back up. Exhale, left. Move with your breath. If you can, try to keep your elbows lifted even with your shoulders. And if your shoulders are starting to burn and you need a break, take a break. So we're combining the neck rotation we did earlier with this internal rotation of the shoulders. So when you finish up on the left next, let's take a break. Ooh, my shoulders are feeling it. If it feels good to do another shoulder roll or maybe just shaking the arms out, taking some time to do that. We're going to do one more movement with the shoulders. Again, this could be done from seated or standing, so up to you. I'm going to show this next one seated. But if you're sitting a lot, right, if you're sitting at a desk at home or at work and you want to stand up and get out of your chair, feel free to do this standing. So we're going to do the same starting position of cactus arms. Really think about opening across your chest. Let's take a couple breaths here. Bringing your shoulder blades together on your back, elbows in line with your shoulders. And then exhale, bring your palms towards one another. If you can, touching your palms and maybe your elbows as well. But if they don't touch, that's okay too. Inhale, open up. So every exhale, bring the hands and the elbows towards one another. Feel the shoulder blades come together, away from each other on the back. And then inhale, open up and feel the shoulder blades come together on the back. So do a couple more of these, still trying to keep the elbows even with the shoulders, even as you move them. And then after your next exhale, let's release the arms down. Ooh, really working the arms today. So let's move down to the legs, shall we? Okay. So now let's try some lunges, which I'll show how to do it with the chair or without. So I'll show first with the chair. Again, you would need a chair without arms to do this. You're going to sit sideways on the chair. So your left hand is holding onto the back of the chair, and you're going to scoot over to the right. So your right hip comes off of the chair, but you're holding onto the back so you don't fall off. And then you're going to bring your right knee back. So your right knee is pointing down towards the ground. And if you're really tall, your knee might touch the ground. That's okay. Your left knee is bent and your foot is in front of you, and your left ankle is under your left knee. Your right knee could be right under your hip, or you could scoot it back a little bit more. So I'm beginning to straighten my right leg back behind me. And then I could stay here, I could lift my right arm, or maybe even explore and balance my left arm. So to do this without the chair, I would be coming into a high lunge. Or if you do have your yoga mat or maybe a pillow or something for under your back knee, you could bring your back knee down to the ground, taking a low lunge. So find any of these versions that works best for your body today. And you don't have to lift your arms. If your shoulders are feeling it from what we did earlier, maybe your hands stay on your left thigh or on your chair or the wall. Continue your deep, even breathing. And then when you're ready, we're either going to come back to standing or maybe back to kneeling on both knees, and we're going to switch sides. So we're going to bring the right leg forward, left leg back if you're standing, or right leg forward and left knee stays down if you're kneeling. If you're seated in your chair, maybe you just switch around. So you're facing the other side on your chair. So your left hip can come off, left knee comes down. And you can walk your leg back if you want, or you can keep the knee bent, knee under the hip. So if you walk it back, and that's whether you're seated in the chair or standing or kneeling, that's going to increase the stretch in the back leg and the quad and the hip flexors. So see what feels best for your body. And then you might explore lifting the arms on this side. And this side could be really different. Maybe you need the support of the chair, right? Maybe you need to come out of it, take a break. So take a few more breaths wherever you are, finding your focus, follow your breath in and out. Maybe come back to your intention that you set. And then when you're ready, slowly coming out. So maybe you come to seated, maybe back to mountain pose, taking your time, no rush. So now we're going to try triangle pose, and there's a few different ways we can do this as well. So I'm going to show it first standing. So I'm going to, just so you can see me better, I'm going to step, let's have our left leg forward first. Step your right leg back a few feet. And the toes are either facing the side or maybe slightly angled forward. The legs stay straight, but there might be a slight bend in the knees. And then I'm going to scoot back a little bit, because what I'm going to do is reach my arms out and then reach forward with my left arm and bring it down to the back of the chair. My right arm could reach up. I could also hold on to the seat of the chair, like I could flip my chair around. That's another option. Or you could bring your hand down to a block, or even your leg, your left arm, and you're opening up the right shoulder and the head. And if you happen to have a wall behind you, like I do, feel free to use the wall for support and lean against it. So take a couple breaths here. And if you're seated, again, you might kind of just adapt this leg position so you have the support of your chair, straightening your front leg and opening up to the side. Just trying your best. And then when you're ready, coming out, we won't hold that too long. And then we're going to switch sides. So if you're using the chair, step your right leg forward, then your left leg back. You might turn the other way on the chair. If you're seated on the chair. And the legs don't have to be perfectly straight. If your hamstrings are tight, your knee might be slightly bent. So right arm is down now, left arm reaches up. And you can gaze up at your top hand. That's okay on your neck. If that doesn't work for your body, feel free to gaze down or to the side. If you have a tendency to hyperextend or lock the knees, see if you can bring a little bit of softness to them, a little micro bend. Breathe into your side body here. And when you're ready, slowly lifting up. Coming back to seated or mountain pose, standing, shaking it out. And then let's find a down dog with either our back of our chair or the wall. I'll show both versions. So one is I can hold on to the back of my chair and reach away, walk away from it. My feet are at least hip distance apart or even wider. And I'm lengthening my back. Reaching my hips back. If it's okay in my neck, I'm letting my head fall and gazing back at my legs. So my chair is pretty low, so what I'm doing is actually more of like a half forward fold. But doing it, you can do it on a higher chair back or on the wall. So with the wall, and I'll show you from the side here, you're about shoulder height. You could even be up slightly higher than shoulder height. And then walking away from the wall, again, feet at least hip distance or a little wider. You can bend your knees a little, reach your hips back, lengthen your spine. Breathe into your shoulders, your back, and then the backs of your legs. You might really notice, the backs of the legs stretching as well. Taking a couple more deep breaths. And then slowly lifting up. Coming back to mountain. So this is always kind of our reset pose. And again, maybe shaking it out if you need to before going back to mountain, rooting down evenly through both of your feet. So now we're going to use the back of the chair again and coming into a standing back bend. So hands onto the back of the chair, and begin to walk away from it. Puffing up our chest, lifting our gaze, but keeping the back of the neck long. Taking a few deep breaths here. Think of this as a standing version of camel pose. Maybe pushing your hips gently forward, drawing your navel and your hips towards one another, like squeezing them inward, your glutes engaged. And then slowly bringing your gaze forward again, relaxing your arms, shaking it out, coming back to mountain. Okay. Checking in with how your body is feeling. We're going to explore a little bit more with standing movements and then come back to seated. So I'm going to have us, again, thinking about bringing energy up, being playful. We're going to try some balance poses. And this first one, we're really expanding outwards. We need a lot of space. So if you're in a space where there's a lot of furniture around you, maybe you watch first to see if you can move things around to get that space. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my chair seat as a prop here. So what I'm going to do to start is I'm going to begin to shift my weight onto my left leg. I'm going to begin to fold forward, so I'm hinging from my hips with a long spine. Hands are going to come down to the chair seat, and I'm going to start with standing splits. I'm going to lift my right leg up in the air behind you, right? So you need space behind you to lift your leg. And your foot doesn't have to lift up very high. If you want, keep your toes down on the ground behind you. If you can, think about lifting the hips evenly, so you're not hiking the hip up here. Right now, the hips are staying even, and you're thinking about lifting from the inner upper thigh like scissors. Let's just come down, take a break for a moment. Maybe pedal the feet like walk in place, and then we'll switch sides. So shift the weight over to the right leg. Right leg is straight or mostly straight, as much as you can get it. And then inhale with the left leg out and back. Again, this could just be a little bit, maybe a lot. And then come down. So there's a few different things that we can explore from here. One is that we could take Warrior 3, and Warrior 3 is like our torso is parallel to the ground like this, and then we might explore lifting our hands away from the chair. They could come to heart center, they could come forward, you can hold on to the wall, they could come up to the side. So maybe you take that now with the left leg being the standing leg, right leg back, and explore Warrior 3, any variation. If it feels safer to keep the hands down, do that. And then when you're ready, bend your left knee a little bit to help you transition, bringing your right leg down. Kind of shake it out side to side, and we'll switch sides. Right leg is our standing leg. Left leg reaches back. Hips are even, engaging the core. Your left toes are pointing down, and then maybe explore lifting the arms forward or hands to heart center at prayer, arms out to the sides. Continue to breathe deep and even. Maybe lift the leg a little more when you're ready. Bending your knees a little, coming back down, walking in place. So we're going to do one more standing pose from here. We're going to try half moon. And again, if you don't have the space to lift your leg back, again, you could adjust your space or just watch and try this later where you have more space. I'm going to start again with my left leg being the standing leg. Nice and strong and firm, engaged muscles in my left leg. Lift my right leg back, and now this time I am beginning to open up my hips. So my foot is flexed, and now my toes are pointing forward. And my left hand's going to stay down under my shoulder, but my right hand might begin to come up to my hip. And then maybe even up to the sky. You can lift the leg a little higher, still breathing deep and even. And then when you're ready, slowly transition back to the starting point. Another option, if you wanted to go a little lower, is you could have your hand on a block and lift up. You can use a wall behind you like I'm doing. So my left hip is against the wall, my shoulders, so you can really open up. And a lot of times, and so now moving to the other side, doing the right leg down. A lot of times in yoga we might say, stack your hips, stack your shoulders. But for many of us, it's really hard to get our hips stacked. So just opening up as much as is comfortable. See, now I need to move over to give myself more space. And one side might be easier than the other. That's totally normal. Our balance is often different side to side. Noticing what might come up. So on this side, my head does not want to turn up. It's like, nope, bring your gaze back down. Something's going on in my neck here on the right side. So when you're ready, when you feel like you're even in both sides or you've done what you need to in both sides, we'll come down again and just take a few moments in this kind of standing forward fold, shaking it out. And then we'll do one more thing standing. So from your standing forward fold, hands to your hips, long spine, lift up. Now we're going to need some space around us. I'm going to move my chair actually side to side. So we're going to be doing a standing twisting movement. So we want to make sure we're not going to hit anything around us if we're moving our arms. Okay? And this again is an energizing movement and breath work. So if you're feeling really high energy already or kind of anxious or upset, you can always skip this, observe, just continue with the deep moving breathing. Feel free to come back to seated if you'd rather do that. This one you could try it seated, but again, you would need no arms on your chair and some space around you. So my feet are going to come a little wider than hip distance. We're going to engage the shoulders again here. We're working a lot with the shoulders today, where our hands are going to come to our shoulders, our elbows are lifted again. So just feel free to watch me first, so you don't have to stand here and hold this. I'm going to inhale here at center and exhale just to kind of settle into it. And then it's a two-part inhale and a two-part exhale. So I'm going to inhale to the left, twisting a little bit to the left, then inhale to the right, and then exhale to the left, opening my arms, exhale to the right. So I have a wall behind me, so I'm just being careful with that. And it's, again, a more forceful sniffing breath like we did with the breath work earlier. So all together it looks and sounds like this. So a couple of things I just want to point out before we start together are that I'm trying to keep my elbows lifted and my arms lifted the whole time I'm doing this, if it's available to you. If you have any shoulder injuries and this doesn't feel good, do it with your hands on your hips, so you can do, and your arms low as you extend them. And it's a half, so you're inhaling halfway to the left and then fully to the right, exhaling halfway to the left, and I'm exhaling through my mouth now, and then fully to the right. So inhale through your nose halfway to the left, inhale fully to the right, exhale through the mouth halfway to the left, fully to the right. And you'll notice as I'm twisting, I'm lifting my opposite heel and allowing my hips to move with me. Okay, so that will allow our spine and our hips to move together rather than like wrenching on our low back. So we want to be mindful of our back here, and soft knees and lifting the opposite heel can just help facilitate that twist. If this doesn't feel good on your back, or you feel like you might get dizzy, go ahead and just observe. And you also can make the twist smaller, so you don't have to go really far and deep. You could just do, a very slight twist. And then one more tip, when we stop, we're not going to stop abruptly. We're going to just let our arms kind of sway side to side and gradually slow down, and that will help us not get dizzy. Okay? So this breath is called Power Hara. So starting with the hands on the shoulders, if that's available, wide legs, soft knees. Take a breath in and out to prepare. And now let's begin. Keep going on your own. This is a great one again to think about releasing through your exhale, letting go through your fingertips. What is no longer serving you? What feels stuck? Letting that out. So twists are also really great for helping us feel unstuck, getting that movement and prana flowing through the spine. Couple more. You can really do a nice big exhale as we come to our last one. And then we're just swinging our arms, so not stopping yet. Just kind of let your arms flop side to side. Gradually slowing down. Coming back to mountain pose, or seated if you're already seated and doing this. So checking in with your energy now. So it's normal after doing this to feel more tingly, more awake. It's moving prana upward. Again, if you're feeling dizzy at all, if it's feeling too energizing, root down to your feet. Breathe down. So let's take a couple more rounds of breath with the visualization we did earlier, where we inhale up the right side of our body, all the way to the top of our head, and exhale down the left side, all the way down through the left foot. One more breath like that. And then let's come back to seated when you're ready. So we'll do a couple more things to kind of keep us active and energized for our afternoon, and then have some time to just sit quietly and rest and integrate it all. But we're going to do one more kind of energizing, fire increasing, tapas increasing movement. Again, that's going to engage our core. And so I invite you to maybe hold on to the arms of your chair if you have arms, or the seat of your chair. And you can do this with one leg, so extending one leg out in front of you, flexing the foot, or maybe both legs. And your legs don't have to be straight, straightening them as much as is comfortable. Noticing your core engaged here to keep the legs lifted. Again, this could be one leg at a time. So if you're doing one leg, maybe switching your legs now. Thinking about lengthening your spine, so trying not to round back or lean back against the back of the chair, sitting up away from the chair if you can. And then exhale and release. And the legs down. So that was like a chair version of boat pose, if you're familiar with that. And this really strengthens and engages the hip flexor muscles and our core, obviously. So we're going to try that one more time with some movement if you want. So inhale, lifting the legs. Exhale, bend the right knee, bring the right foot down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, left knee bends, left foot down, toes touch. Inhale, up. And see if you can move side to side a couple times, just tapping the toes. Moving with your breath, trying to keep the core engaged, the legs extending out in front of you. You're doing one more on each side, but knowing you can take a break at any time. And then take a moment to lengthen both legs out long. And then bend the knees, relax the legs. Good job. So let's just take a seated fold. Let's bring our knees a little wide if you can. And make sure you have some space in front of you. If you're taking care of your low back and folding forward doesn't feel good, I'll show you just about going halfway down or just a slight forward fold. Or just stay upright and skip this. That's best for the body. Inhaling your arms up. And exhale, maybe with a big sigh. Fold to the inside of your legs. And you could rest your arms, like your elbows, to the inside of your knees. And kind of just stay halfway down, which is where I am right now. I'll show you from the side. Or maybe you, if it's okay on your back, you bring your hands down to the ground, to a block, and round in war. So kind of up to you. I'm taking care of my low back on the right side, so I'm just going to stay halfway down. That's better. One more breath here. And then slowly coming up. Let's come up with a straight spine, maybe hands to the hips, long spine coming up. And bringing the knees back in. Let's just take one more round of cat and cow. The seated cat and cow, so hands on the knees, and inhale our chest forward, gazing forward, exhaling, rounding. And sitting tall, checking in with your body and what you need as we begin to wrap up. If there's any other movements, wiggles, it doesn't have to be a yoga pose, any kind of thing you need to do to kind of shake it out, stretch it out. Check in where you still might be holding tension in your body. Take a few moments to see if you can gently release that, but not force it out. So thinking about maybe just gently working with what's there, softening that area, rather than trying to force it to relax. Because sometimes when you're trying to force something to relax, you meet resistance, right? So maybe thinking about, okay, I'm just going to soften my right hip or soften my jaws a little bit. When you feel ready, we'll meet back sitting tall. And we're going to come back to the mudra if that feels comfortable for you. So I'll show the mudra again, interlacing your fingers, but not super tight. So you're not touching, like the webbing of the fingers isn't interlacing, they're loose, and the thumbs are up. Bring your hands a little bit in front of the heart, shoulders down, elbows down. Or rest your hands lower if that's better for your shoulders. If you're already, if what we've done today has kind of energized you and you're like, I have enough energy, maybe you skip the mudra and just bring your palms down because this mudra is a little bit energizing. So close your eyes here or soften your gaze away from the screen. Follow your breath in and out. Coming back to your intention that you set at the beginning. Repeating your intention a couple of times to yourself, helping it to manifest for the rest of your day and the rest of your week. Knowing that you have the energy, the confidence, the courage within you to do what you need to do, to complete your goals, to make change, to take action in the world and in your own life. And I invite you now to bring your hands to heart center. So this is another mudra called Anjali Mudra. Mudra for humility and compassion. And I thank you all for sharing your practice with me today. The light within me bows to and honors that same light in each of you. Namaste. Thank you everyone who's joined or who might be watching this video later. Again, this is a chair yoga and standing yoga class sponsored by the Corktown Health Center, and I'm Caitlin Brown of Mindful Detroit. I'll be back next Thursday, also at noon, for the same thing. Have a great day, everyone.